doing today? I made it out here to the grow room to do a little bit of work. I've really had to take it easy. I'm really far behind on what I had planned this week. But that's how it goes with colds, but you do got to keep your stuff watered. But this is a really happy site right back here. Look at that, we got a nice red chili pepper. Let's go ahead and pick this. Gotta be careful here. There we go, look at that. That is beautiful. It's hard for my phone doesn't focus. Super fabulous. Look at that. It's a nice red chili pepper we just grew. We have 2 pineapples that have actually rooted and have new growth on them. I took the 2 that weren't doing well out and I just added another one in. We've really been juicing pineapples lately, just a little bit with our juices. This is one of the peppers here that we planted in this, what was it, December maybe? And perennial peppers have the ability to be perennial if you take care of them adequately. But this one here has made it, despite our initial problems with our spider mites, and it's putting on some little peppers you can see there. This is a Thai chili pepper, and this pepper over here that we just picked, I think it's the same one. Is it the same one? Let me see if I can get a good look. Yeah, the red chili pepper is actually making more chilies back there. We have an assortment of other peppers that we planted. There's a really cute one down here. This is a pretty and purple pepper. It's really small, but it'll bloom and make beautiful lavender flowers all over it. We also have a paprika pepper. No peppers on it yet, but just some cool species of peppers to give our food some flavor. I've slowly been using the amaranth in our juices. Once I realized how small the grain was that grows, I kind of decided I'd rather just juice the plants as opposed to growing grain on them, because that takes up an awful lot of space in my grow room for just how little I would get off of all those plants, right? Got a few more sunflowers coming up here. When I get a little more energy going, I'll have to get those hardened off and outside, replace some of the ones that the birds were so hard on. Our purple sweet potato is continuing to do well. We have some ginger back here, right? It's been sending up shoots. Last year I grew a ginger, or was it the year before? I grew ginger outside and it made it to winter, but then it died off in the winter. It did actually make a whole new plant. So it seems like these, and I'm not an expert on growing ginger, but it seems like they'll replace themselves and then you'll end up with 2 plants. We'll see. This is my first time trying to do it inside and it seems to like the space. So back here are our tomatoes. And if you've been following me for a while, we had a bunch of heirloom, really compact cherry tomatoes in here, along with some other larger tomatoes that I wanted to see if they would flop over like this one here is doing. This Akamora is the only one that handled the low-level light and flopped over, and I'm watching to see if we get some tomatoes on it. But the Roma and the Thornton, and I think there was another one that I had going back here, they really didn't do well at all, so I removed them. But let me show you the seedlings that we have. Let me just adjust my stepladder because I'm short. I gotta have something to stand on. So I have a bunch of seedlings, and what I did is I just took one of the tomatoes that were on the heirloom cherry tomatoes that stay compact and short, and I just kind of squished it into the ground. And so about 10 of them came up, and this morning I went ahead and transplanted them because it's kind of better. I mean, you want to wait till they have a couple leaves on them, but like true leaves, but you don't want to wait till their root system is too developed, because if you damage the root, sometimes the plant doesn't do as well. But soon we're going to have a bunch of little tomatoes, and this one here is one that I started a while back that's gotten a little bigger. So we're getting closer on this one. This is our sweet potato experiment here. Of course, it's a really small container, but I'm going to be very curious to know if it actually makes any sweet potatoes at all, like even one in this container in this space. Tell me if it's worth my time to invest in like a larger container just dedicated to sweet potatoes, because I actually do love sweet potatoes. So back here, I transplanted out a bunch of peppers that I had come up that were experimental. Now, unfortunately, when I did that, it was before we added our air conditioner, and it got hot in here all of a sudden. So I lost a bunch of those peppers, but thankfully I still have some in here and I have more seed. So I actually can start them again. But good news is I didn't kill all of them, but I will be adding some more seed into here. And those green things that are falling all over the place, those are onions that I transplanted. Sometimes when you transplant stuff, it's not necessarily thrilled, right? Back here, we still have some radishes going. You're starting to see a little more red back here. These are French breakfast radishes. These are my favorite. And some dandelions. Those things are pretty hardy. And I'm growing those because dandelions are supposed to be super good for you. It's funny, it's the first time in my life I've ever tried to cultivate dandelions, right? And then when we were doing our transplanting, because we had a bunch of plants that were for outside in here that we had to move out. Hey, Football World, welcome to the channel. We had a bunch of plants that we were trying to get out and get planted in the green garden to free up space to get things going in here. So some of my plants were a little crowded. Hi-yo, hi-yo. I don't know, I think that means hi, but it could be some kind of football cheer. Thanks for joining us. But these at first looked pretty puny, right? But they've had about a week since I separated these out, and now these are doing pretty good. This is Swiss chard back here, mostly Swiss chard. I'm pretty sure that's a beet right there in the corner. And over here we have a tray that is all beets. And my lettuces, they weren't too happy with the heat, and you can see I'm down to not a whole bunch of lettuce in this tray, so I need to redo this dirt. The purslane has been very happy. The heat didn't phase this at all. Oh, you're from India. Well, welcome to our channel. We're in the desert of southern Nevada. This is going to get new dirt, more seeds, and some of this stuff will keep going as long as it goes. Like, obviously, we're not getting rid of the purslane. Yeah, and I'm trying to decide if I want to keep the purslane in here or if I want to put it outside. I haven't decided on that yet. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have some more onions. These onions I didn't transplant, so they're happy and they're standing up. Some yarrow, some chamomile, and back here in the back is a mixture of onions and carrots. These are companion plants. Whoops, sorry, I can't tilt it. And they've been really happy in here. And so I have chamomile in these window containers along with carrots and onions as well. Carrots seem to be very tolerant of the heat. And I had such bad luck with the quail in the garden. I can't believe, here's a basil. Yep, I rescued this one. And I have one here. And I have a couple more around here someplace. Oh, there we go, right back over here in the corner. But yeah, I have a lot more basil seeds, so yeah, it's not a tragedy. I can start more seeds. More radishes, some New Zealand spinach. And these are some herbs that I haven't transplanted yet. Oops, sorry. These are some herbs I haven't transplanted yet. Basically, I'm kind of regrouping, and now that I've gotten a lot of my plants outside that are outdoors, I'm going to be redoing the inside. We have some strawberries here, and these did suffer some casualties before we added the air conditioning in, and then again when I moved them. And the world needs more love, football. Thank you. When I moved them, again, like what I said about trying to transplant plants that have more developed root systems, and these ones were pretty close together. So, you know, I lost a couple there too. But anyway, what the great thing about strawberries is if you have one, at some point it's going to make runners and you're going to get a whole bunch more. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we're going to do just fine. We have a lot of New Zealand spinach in here, so this will carry me over till I get more lettuce going for our salads, and some more lettuces. And then I think these are more beets and some kohlrabi and some dill. Back there we have some cruciferous, and oh yeah, I was talking about how I moved the peppers. I have to replant this container too, but I'm really wanting to amend the soil in this room because really had bad success with the soil that I've been purchasing from these garden centers. It seems like the soil has a lot of clay and wood in it. Oh my gosh, did you see that? I don't know if I got that on video or not, but there was a robin out here. I love robins. They are our buddies, boys. Come eat all the bugs. And that guy looks like he's pretty too, he or she. But let's take a look at some of the other things that we transplanted. Some of what we have out here, we overwintered in our grow room. These eggplants. I don't know if you like eggplants. I learned to like them. I didn't really eat them when I lived in Alaska. But these two eggplants we overwintered, and they didn't set any fruit on in the grow room. I think the humidity made the pollen really sticky. But they are actually putting on eggplants right now. So it's only a matter of time, and we're going to have some great eggplants here. But I can already tell this is going to make one. We're going to have a lot of eggplant on these two plants. And we've got a bunch of baby eggplants that as soon as they mature and start getting blooms, they'll be making some eggplants too. And back here I have some things that I transplanted underneath some netting because the birds have been eating me out of house and home. And you can see kind of this carrot right there. It looks pretty horrible, and that's because the birds ate it down and it's coming back. The good news is with the carrots, they didn't actually dig them out of the ground, but some of the plants they absolutely took out. This is a tomatillo right here, and it looks like it's ready to start putting on some blooms, which is pretty cool. Oh my. And yes, the quail were, see, I'm so glad I covered that because that right there, that's a tomatillo that got killed. They're murdering birds. And I have a whole bunch of tomatillos. I know they're so cute. I love them so much, but they're just so destructive. We had to quit feeding them. And I have a bunch of tomatillo seedlings underneath this. You can't really see them. I think you can see one, right? Let's see if I can focus in on it. Where is it? There it is. Oops. Right there. There's one right there. You can see it, right? And then over here, and tomatillos wouldn't necessarily normally be their food, but the tender shoots on seedlings, I guess, still taste good. Here we have a bunch of hot peppers that are going to come up underneath this netting too. Trying to keep as much as I can netted until it gets bigger, because other words, the critters here just make short work of everything. This is where we dug up our apricot that unfortunately had borers, and it had powdery mildew thanks to the roses, which we also dug up. There's actually a huge risk of that powdery mildew infecting a lot of our trees, and that would be horrible. And we have some other things that we transplanted. Miraculously, nothing's tried to eat this little baby watermelon, so that's pretty awesome. And our pumpkins are doing quite well. Nothing's tried to eat them, which is a miracle. For a while I had them covered. And back here I have, let's see, I have sunflowers, and I planted some sweetness melons. Sweetness melons did really well for somebody here locally in the heat last summer. Last summer we had a week of 120 degrees, which was horrible. It actually killed quite a few people's trees. And most of our plants survived, or actually all of our trees survived it, but we lost all of our squash except the pumpkins. These pumpkins are amazingly hardy. And our Thornton tomatoes, which I'm going to show you in a minute, those actually survived it too. Here's a fig. This is year 3 for this fig. It's a rooted cutting that my friend Julie gave me. These are pistachios. Sorry about that, pistachios. Over here we have some more seedlings. Sunflowers you can see most predominantly, but there's going to be some watermelon in here also. I'm really big on companion planting. The quail ate the sunflowers that I had planted here, but I sprinkled some wildflower seed down here, so hopefully we'll have some wildflowers soon. Over here is our firebells. It is really blooming now. It's going to be beautiful. And this is the fig that we've had for several years, and if you look, you can see it's making figs now. Look at that. It's going to be wonderful figs all over this tree. We have some weather blowing in. I'm sure you can tell. It might even rain today, which would be great. Our kumquat hasn't started flowering yet. This is a delicious apple, and it just started flowering. We've got apples on this for the first time last year. There was about 4 really small ones. And this year, it woke up a little earlier than it did before. And it's looking like we're going to get more apples on this tree this year. So I'm excited about that. It's always nice when our trees start producing fruit for us. Oh, here, look, here's some more fresh blooms. This is very encouraging. So there's a lot of potential for this tree this year. We've had this for a few years, and for the longest time it didn't do anything. In fact, we didn't realize it woke up later than the Anna apple, that it needed more heat to wake up. We didn't even know if it was alive at first, and I was pretty discouraged, but we're like, okay, we've learned to be patient and give things time, and glad we did. This is a mandarin. this is definitely a lesson in being patient because we haven't got any fruit on this. And it's gotten pretty big now, so I guess we'll see what's going to happen with that. This is a dwarf ruby red grapefruit. It hasn't started flowering yet. We've consistently gotten at least 11 big grapefruit off of this every year, sweet red ones. And it's a tiny tree. I mean, it's not even as tall as I am wide. And it's actually almost up to my thigh. It's pretty short even. It's a very small bush and it's very productive. This is our Anna apple. And look at that. Now you can really see the apples that are setting on there. This is one of my favorite trees. We should call it Old Faithful, right? It just puts on a lot of apples and it's much shorter than I am. And it does really well. This wakes up early. You can see it's netted because I'm not giving any more of my fruit to these birds. But this is a very productive tree. There's another one right there. But let's take a look at our Thornton tomatoes. These are actually waking up and they're growing. And look, there's a tomato setting on right here. Can you see that? There you go. You can see that. And it looks like this one over here is starting to make some as well. We're getting some blooms on it. The Thornton tomatoes are really heat tolerant. Last year we planted one of these. It was seed that we got for free from Baker Creek Seed Company. And it actually survived the week of 120 and still went on to put on tomatoes that were medium sized and that were very flavorful. So it's definitely a winner in this garden. And this is really cool. The pomegranates actually started blooming earlier this year, which is nice because we might actually get some pomegranates before it gets really hot here. That would be wonderful. They don't usually get completely ripe until October, but last year we got a bunch of pomegranates and they split, but they didn't set on this early, so this is pretty cool. This one here, back here, is covered with blooms. Covered with blooms. And I think a lot of that has to do with some pruning that took place. Look at that, it gave it a lot more light. And our almond. That's just a little update for you. Some zucchini back here, we'll see. I haven't had much success with zucchini in this climate, but we'll see. Maybe it'll grow here in the shade. And back here, one more thing I'll show you before we go for the day. Our lemon tree has been putting on some lemons, right? Having to take really good care of this right now. While it's setting fruit, you got to make sure it doesn't get dried out. And you got to watch the wind too, because the wind can blow all the blooms off. But yeah, I think we're going to get some lemons this year, so I'm pretty happy about that. We've had this tree for a long time. It's one of my favorite trees in our yard. Well, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you watching. I hope you have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.